Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to the voice of the times. This Sunday, September 12, 2021. For today's editorial, global trade shifts to digital economy. If something positive has come out of the pandemic, it may be the hastened transition to the digital economy. As mentioned before in this space, the health crisis has exposed the weaknesses in our telecommunications infrastructure and underscored the urgency to develop quality internet connectivity. But with quarantine still limiting movements, economic activities have been shifting to the digital sphere, out of necessity and despite inadequate infrastructure. The change is not only evident in domestic commerce, but also in international trade. Singapore, for example, has forged digital economy agreements, or DEAs, with Australia, New Zealand, and Chile. That city-state is also negotiating a similar treaty with the European Union and the United Kingdom. The Philippines should follow that lead. According to a Singaporean government website, digitalization and technological disruption, accelerated by the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, have transformed consumer behaviors and business models considerably and created new opportunities. For example, e-commerce has enabled manufacturers to reach consumers directly. It went on to say, secure and seamless cross-border data flows are essential to the growth of the digital economy and to ensure that consumers' interests are safeguarded. With the DEAs, Singapore hopes to harmonize its digital rules and standards with its treaty partners, as well as facilitate interoperability among systems in the signatory countries. The agreements are also meant to support cross-border data flows and protect personal data and consumer rights. For businesses, the agreements are meant to lower operating costs and increase efficiencies. Among other things, the treaties will also enable e-invoicing and facilitate small and medium enterprises, or SMEs, in transacting with foreign enterprises on digital platforms. Naturally, the Philippines is far too complex and different to be like its city-state neighbor, but that does not mean that policymakers and economic managers here cannot learn from their counterparts there. The point is that they should. The future. The Philippines lags behind Singapore and a few of its other Southeast Asian neighbors in digitalization, but in fairness, there have been improvements. According to a World Bank report, the number of internet users in the Philippines has more than tripled, from 23 million in 2010 to 73 million in 2020. It said Filipinos spend about 10 hours daily on the internet, half of that time using a mobile phone to connect. In economic terms, the share of the value added of the digital economy to GDP, or gross domestic product, in constant prices grew from 7% in 2012 to over 10% in 2018, the World Bank reported. During the same period, the value added of the digital economy posted double-digit annual growth, averaging over 13%. As expected, the World Bank also cited factors delaying digitalization in the Philippines. These included high cost and uneven quality of the internet, limited adoption of digital payments, expensive logistics, and a business environment with low levels of competition. Some might argue that the Philippines has plenty of issues to resolve before it should pursue a DA or some other form of a digital treaty. We disagree. Having these treaties will push the Philippines to strive toward higher degrees of digitalization, which of course requires government and private investments and policy reforms. Acquiring higher capabilities will be needed to conduct business with potential treaty partners. In fact, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce had suggested that the Philippines should negotiate a DEA with the United States. Incidentally, the U.S. already has a digital trade agreement with Japan, covering products such as ebooks, videos, music, software, and games. In fairness, Congress is working on measures to facilitate imports of some of those products, particularly ebooks, by exempting them from local taxes. But nothing substantial has been done to facilitate exports of digital products from the Philippines. Filipinos can be globally competitive not only in exporting ebooks, but also software, games, and animation. And given the growing number of local feature films on streaming platforms such as Netflix, Filipino movies could also benefit from digital trade agreements. As many have said, the future is digital. The Philippines should move quickly to avoid being left further behind. And that's the editorial for Sunday, September 12, 2021. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to The Voice of the Times.